let's hop in straight into the charts. Alright guys, so I have a quick update for you all. Let's take a look at this charts. This is the Dixie. This is the US dollar index charts, and there's something I actually want to point out and bring to everyone's attention. Okay, so if you're watching this video, ensure you pay attention to what I'm about showing you right now. Okay, so right now the dollar is facing a very strong resistance, and the dollar is actually at a very critical point in the financial markets. Now, how is this point, or why is this point very critical? It's because of the following reasons. Number one, we haven't broken out of this trend line here. We attempted doing this. This was back in the year 2022 and we failed. And this brought about the decline of the dollar. And then we attempted doing this again in the year 2023. Towards the month of October into November, we attempted doing this and we still failed. And this brought the dollar down. Then coming over into the year 2024, we still attempted crossing this same trend line and we could not. We had a rejection and we came down. Now and again, guys, we are attempting crossing this same trend line again. So the question now is this: are we going to have a rejection, or will we break out of here successfully? And now, guys, I want us to take note of something very important. Now, in this particular area, something very unique is happening this time. We are having a golden cross. Okay, at this particular area for the Dixie, we are having a golden cross this time. So the question now is this: are we going to break out of this region successfully this time, or we are still going to have a rejection and then have a correction towards the downside for the US dollar? And now, guys, if this happens, this is actually going to affect the stock markets. Okay, this is going to affect the stock exchange markets. And at the end of the day, if this affects the stock exchange markets, definitely the crypto space is going to get affected if we break out of this point. Because mind you, the dollar has attempted breaking out of this same trend line for the past, let's calculate the number of days that the dollar has actually attempted breaking out of this trend line. So guys, for the past 553 days, the dollar has been battling with this trend line here. Okay, this area has been a strong area of support for the dollar for the past 500 days plus. So guys, if the dollar finally breaks out of this point, this is going to affect the stock market. This is why I need you all to be very careful, because we are at a very critical point right now. Now, it's not just for the dollar. There are other charts as well. I'm just bringing out what anybody would look at and understand. Okay, this is the channel of the Crypto Prophet, and here we make things very easy. I try simplifying everything for you all to understand, for as many of you that are following me to understand and get a clearer view of how the market works or where the market is heading to. Okay, so I am calling for caution, guys, because we are likely going to get a rejection. But at the same time, don't forget, we are having a golden cross here. This is not something to be ignored. Okay, we are likely going to have a rejection, but at the same time, we don't need to ignore this golden cross. So this is what makes it very dicey. Okay, this is why there is a need for caution, because if this golden cross gets stronger, then there is a high possibility that the dollar can break out of this point. And if the dollar breaks out of this point, that is really going to be very bearish for the stock exchange markets. This is what I want you all to understand. And now, it is not just about the dollar breaking out of here, but you know, opening above this price and then forming multiple candlesticks on top. out of this range. This is what is going to be very bullish for the dollar, and it would end up affecting the stock markets. Okay, just like here in the year 2020, in the year 2022, the dollar actually tried breaking out. It even formed a candlestick on top of here, but at the end of the day, the candlestick could not hold. Okay, so we just had a choppy kind of market for some days. And the same thing happened here. We broke out, opened the candlestick here, but we could not maintain. We now came crashing down. But you see, we had a kind of consolidative market for a period of time. So guys, the same thing is likely going to happen. We may have, if we are having a rejection, then we can have some consolidation around here and then have a rejection. So this is why you all need to be very careful, stay level-headed, and let's know the next direction that we are going to take. On the Crypto Prophet, I bring out very accurate information to help as many of you who are trading, as many of you who are following me to actually understand the direction of the markets. So guys, let's talk about Bitcoin. But before that, I want us to talk about, let's take a look at this coin. I gave you guys an entry point for Jasmy. Okay, I told you guys, I said long Jasmy for those of you that are trading futures, and I gave you guys my targets. Okay, I told you that my target is 0.029, 0.019. That was what I gave you guys, and Jasmy actually pumped and exceeded my take profit target. So for those of you who actually took this trade, go watch my last video. If you took this trade, then you made around 10% of your capital, which is something very good. So congrats to those of you who took that trade with me. So guys, let's head on to Bitcoin, and let's actually take a look at the Bitcoin charts. Alright guys, so this is the Bitcoin charts. Don't get confused with all these lines. These lines are actually calculations, so they are my calculations, and I actually understand what is here. So guys, Bitcoin seems to be facing some form of resistance at this trend line. Okay, we had the resistance here. When it hit this trend line, let's change this to white color. When Bitcoin encountered this trend line, we had a drop. We had a drop by roughly, let's say approximately 17%. We had a 17% drop, guys. And Bitcoin has actually been trying to break out of this white line. We've had multiple rejections, okay, on this same white line. And right now, Bitcoin is showing signs of being bearish. But now, here is my honest opinion, guys. But please, this is not a financial advice. I repeat myself again, do not follow what I give you on YouTube as the 100% technical technical analysis from the Crypto Prophets, because this is not my inner circle. I talk more in my inner circle, and you will not expect me to come out in public and begin spilling out information. That's not going to be very fair to my premium members. So if you want to get the complete information, ensure you look for ways and connect with the Crypto Prophets. Ensure you look for ways and enter into my inner circle. So guys, I'm just going to give you some points here for the dollar. For Bitcoin. If you take a look at Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin is actually looking bearish. Let's zoom this well. At this point, guys, Bitcoin is looking very bearish. But now, Bitcoin would only be very bearish if it breaks out of this trend line. We've maintained this trend line for some days now. Let's calculate the number of days. We've maintained this trend line, guys, for the past 32 days. We've been inside this trend line. This trend line here, let's color this with white color as well. Can you see this white trend line, guys? We've been in this trend line for the past 30 days plus. So Bitcoin needs to break below this trend line for us to be extremely bearish. And if that happens, then there is a high possibility that Bitcoin is coming towards 60,000 to $59,000 thereabouts, 61 to 59 to $58,000. So this is what we need to watch out for. But for now, the day has not yet ended. We are still battling with this white line. But now, guys, if Bitcoin can successfully break out of this white line just like I told you all. Then we are heading up to this yellow line here, and this yellow line here follows the trend all through from this point, okay, from this candlestick up to this point. This area held as a form of support for Bitcoin. When we broke, we had this candlestick. We also had a rejection when we tried climbing this same yellow line, guys. So right now, if Bitcoin breaks out of this white line, forms multiple candlesticks, then we are coming to challenge this yellow line, guys. And remember, I said this in my last video. I told you all, I said Bitcoin needs to break out of this yellow line. If it fails to break out of this yellow line, we would have multiple rejections. And this is exactly what happened. This candlestick tried breaking out of this yellow line. It could not. We had a correction, and it's been more than 4 days now. We've just been consolidating within this area, so nothing really has been happening in the markets. The market has just been very choppy, okay? And if you've been trading, you would understand exactly what I'm talking about, because the market has just been choppy. It's been consolidating. It's not going up, it's not coming down. So if you want to make money in this type of markets, you need to be very careful. For me, I have not been trading for some days. I've been waiting for certain confirmations. Though I'm still in certain trades, but I've just been waiting because the pattern has not yet formed fully. And it's very wrong to trade this kind of markets, guys, because we've not really had a very major breakout either to the upside or to the downside. So this is why I need you all to be very careful, because we are in a very critical stage right now. So if the market breaks out of this point, then there's a high possibility Bitcoin can head up to $73,000. And this is going to be very bullish for altcoins, because a lot of altcoins are actually going to pump very strongly. So one can take advantage of that. And then do not forget, we are watching out for this yellow line, because if we still encounter this yellow line, then we need to battle with it, else we are still going to drop down more. So guys, this is my advice for you all. I want you guys to observe Bitcoin during the weekend. So far, if you see a drop for Bitcoin, I am looking at $68,000 to around $67,000 to $66,000. But if we break below and you see Bitcoin within 65, 64, 63, that's bearish. So that would be very bearish for Bitcoin, and that would be bearish for altcoins. So you need to be very careful. And then for the dollar, remember what I told you all. I said the dollar is actually in a very critical stage. So if we have a rejection for the dollar, that is going to buy more time for the S&P 500. And if that buys more time for the S&P 500, then the crypto space as well is going to buy time as well. But if that breaks out, if the dollar breaks out, that is going to affect the S&P 500. And if that affects the S&P 500, definitely Bitcoin is going to follow suit. So guys, this is a very, very dicey moment. You need to listen to what I'm telling you, okay? If not, you're going to get wrecked. It is better to wait and be patient than for you to rush and end up getting wrecked. It won't take you anything to be patient and actually wait for this market. So for me, I'm going to advise as many of you watching this video to be patient and wait for the market. But if you're impatient and you still wish to trade, you still need to rush, that's your business. Do whatever you want to do. But for me, I've given you a little clue. I've given you most of the target areas that we need confirmations from. So let's see exactly how this plays out. So before I end this video, guys, I want to show you all something very important before I end this video. Produce the video the last time. I want you guys to go watch that video, my Bitcoin updates part 1 and Bitcoin updates part 2. Okay, go watch that video and see what I spoke about in that video. So guys, I want you all to take a look at this charts. This is the Nasdaq charts, like I told you all, and I spoke about something very important. I spoke about the cross happening with these lines. I told you all, I said anytime that this green line crosses the red line, there is always a problem for the Nasdaq. Look at it here. This green line crossed this red line, the Nasdaq dropped. Green line crossed the red line, the Nasdaq dropped. And I told you I was actually expecting a cross here, but the cross was reversed after the previous FOMC meeting. And guys, go watch that video. You would understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't really need to prolong issues here and keep on explaining. I've spoken about this. I took time to explain in that video, so it's left for you to watch it and understand. So guys, right now, I want to point out something very important. The Nasdaq is trying to break out of this point and make a new all-time high. The question now is this: will it be successful? This is the question, okay? Now, let's take a look at the S&P 500. Let's take a look at something very important in the S&P 500. Now, guys, the S&P 500 has actually had this cross. Can you see this? The S&P 500 has had this cross. So this makes things very complicated, guys. This is why I told you all. I said be very careful. The S&P 500 has had this cross, and this cross is not a good cross. Now, the last time this cross occurred, the S&P 500 had a drop, guys. This happened at this point. Let's label this with red color. Let's see what happened. Can you see this, guys? Take a look at this. This is something you don't need to ignore. Very, very important. And this is why you need people like the Cryptoprophet to bring out very accurate information for you all. Now, guys, take a look at this. The S&P 500 had this cross, and look at what happened. We had a drop of 10%. And when we had this drop of 10%, guys, this also affected the crypto space. This affected Bitcoin. This was on the 22nd of August. Okay, let's check what happened to Bitcoin let's check what happened to Bitcoin on the 2nd of August, guys. 2nd of August, August 2nd. Let's check what happened to Bitcoin, August 2nd. All right, guys, so this is from August 4th. Now let's check what happened to Bitcoin, guys. That cross happened on the 2nd of August, and this is the 4th of August. Now, look at how Bitcoin dropped. Bitcoin dropped by approximately 17%. Can you see this? So the S&P 500 dropped by 10% and Bitcoin dropped by 17%. And remember, Bitcoin is a parabolic asset. Okay, Bitcoin moves more faster than the traditional markets. So if Bitcoin should have a drop of 17% from this point, where is that going to land us? 17% from this point, that is approximately going to land us at around, let's calculate this, approximately going to land us at around $58,000. Can you see what I'm telling you, guys? This is why I said you need to be very careful. Okay, you need to follow the Cryptoprophets for updates. You need to ensure that you're connected to my channel so that you can get this kind of information. So we see here that Bitcoin dropped by approximately 17%, guys, and that was when the S&P 500 had that cross. So this is why you need to be very careful. Okay, there is a need for caution because we just had this cross. So let's see how this cross plays out, guys. But right now we have not yet had the confirmation for the Nasdaq. The S&P 500 has had the cross, but the Nasdaq is still yet to have the cross. So guys, take a look at it. The Nasdaq is still yet to have a cross. So if the Nasdaq has this cross, just like the S&P 500, I'm going to be watching the Nasdaq like a hawk, guys, because if this cross takes over in the Nasdaq, that is going to be a major confirmation, guys, a major confirmation. So it is going to be a warning sign that the traditional markets is going to decline more, because already the Nasdaq is facing a strong area of resistance at this point. So it is only if the Nasdaq is able to break out of this point, this is actually what is going to give more room, you know, and the S&P 500 as well is also going to be bullish, and so would the crypto space. So even as we trade, you need to be careful, you need to watch out, you need to be very, very careful, because anything can happen at this point. We are at very critical levels in the markets. The first one, I've called out the dollar for you. I've called out the S&P 500. I've called out the Nasdaq. I've called out Bitcoin for you. Okay, so let's see what plays out. If the dollar becomes weaker and drops out of that area of resistance, then that can buy more room for the S&P 500. And if that buys more room for the S&P 500, definitely we are going to avoid having the cross for the Nasdaq, and you would see the Nasdaq breaking out to have a new all-time high. And if the Nasdaq breaks out to have a new all-time high, that is also going to give more strength to the crypto space as well. And you would also see Bitcoin breaking out and having a new all-time high. The probability is around 80%, guys, because there is still a positive correlation between the traditional markets and the crypto space as well. So this is the explanation coming directly from the Cryptoprophet, guys. You see how I'm taking my time to explain all of this? You're not going to find this kind of information on YouTube. Okay, you're not going to find this easily. So this is why you need to subscribe to the channel of the Cryptoprophet. Ensure you follow me for more information. I'm going to be giving you guys updates. Ensure you join my Telegram channel. Look for ways and connect to my inner circle to get access to information that is going to change your life. Gem coins that are going to hit $1. Listen, guys, I have a lot of coins. Coins that will hit $1, coins that will exceed their all-time high. My coins are performing very, very well. You need to look for ways and connect to be in my channel, because I would be sharing more information. Not everything I come out to share on YouTube, guys. This is what I want you all to understand. So that will be all, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I remain the Crypto Prophet. God bless you. See you in my next video. Thank you.